This is the Transparency Podcast Show.
Welcome to the Transparency Podcast. And I'm here with a special guest that you might recognize on TikTok. But first, I want to introduce my co-host, as always, my amazing partner in crime, my duo friend, Blossom C. Brown. Blossom, how you doing today?
I'm doing lovely, honey. How you doing today?
I am doing damn good. I've got somebody on the line who is a trans man who has been creating his own platform, his own lane, and has really experienced some hardships on TikTok while simultaneously trying to create a narrative and a space for himself, trans man, and creating that space even in like gaming now. He's streaming now. He's going into these spaces, and I see him almost on live TikTok every night. But then something happened that was really interesting, and I brought him here today so that we can get some clarification on what happened. So
we getting the tea today, honey.
You know, I always get the tea. It's
it
always
burned
hot.
my tongue. Oh my gosh, it's so hot.
So let me introduce to you our amazing special guest, as always, Josiah, or you might know him as Peaceful Warrior 23 here on TikTok. Josiah, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm wonderful, blessed, and highly favored. Happy to be here with you and Blossom. Super, super excited. And super blessed to be here with you guys.
We're happy to have you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
So, first of all, how the hell did you even end up on TikTok? That is my first question, because from what I kind of saw is like I saw you had a partner who kind of had a following, and then you kind of like, I felt like jumped into creation with them. Like, what was that story for you? How did you get there?
Yes, absolutely. So prior to me even being in a relationship with her, I had my platform, but it was a little bit smaller. And my intentions on my platform, when I started my transition, it was very hard for me to, like, I would look up trans men, but I couldn't find anything like resources or like any helpful resources, or even trans men that represented the same color as me. So it's very, I'm like going through it. I'm like, I can't find, like, it was very hard for me. So once I started to like accumulate resources, I'm like, I should share my experience with people, whether it's one person, people. I never really expected my platform to be where it is today. And then I met my ex, who was more involved with social media. I was still very uncomfortable with it. And she just kind of drugged me into her platform. One of the first videos that she had ever posted of us, it got hundreds of thousands of views. And my platform, I'm like maybe getting like 1,000 views, maybe, and that's it. And I'm very introverted. Even doing content and stepping out and sharing my life is very hard for me. Like, I'm adjusted a little bit more now, but in the beginning, I was very closed off to it. So like one of the first videos that she had posted of us, I was like, take that down. Like immediately, I was like, that's too many people. I'm like, I don't even know that many people. I'm like, who's looking at us? And then also the backlash. We received backlash as well because she identified as a lesbian, and then I'm a trans man. And it kind of put people like in an uproar, but then people accepted it. But it was so much going on. So really, I opened up more to support her because it helped her platform also. And then once I got more comfortable, obviously I started embarking on my own platform. And then once we broke up, it was it was now it's a completely different journey.
Yeah. And you know, I was telling Blossom kind of a little bit about the synopsis of some of the stuff that happened to you. And it's interesting that you're mentioning that you weren't quite comfortable with social media in the way that your partner was. And, you know, from some of the content that I saw originally, like I saw you doing like some dance videos and stuff with her and stuff like that. And it was cute, but I could always kind of tell that you were kind of like a little uncomfortable sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I could see that. Maybe I was just reading way too hard into you too, because I have a tendency to be able to see the nuance of things. But I just noticed kind of like, for me, it seemed like this cis person was kind of, in a way, exploiting the relationship to a degree for the platform and for their views, because they had such a large following. And as you were being added to their content, because I followed Cece as well prior, because I mean, I
How many
followed
followers
everybody.
does she have?
She was at like 2 million or some big number or something like that. It was really big. You know, she blew up. on TikTok because she would do a lot of these like inspirational kind of like wake up, you got to do your thing, and it really
Oh,
hit for
okay.
people. And sometimes I would watch her videos and be like, you know what, you're right, you got to wake up, you got to. And sometimes those did hit, you know.
Right.
But and that's also what drew me because I saw her first before I saw Josiah, and then I was like, oh wait, she's dating a trans. Oh, I gotta find out about this trans guy.
Mhm.
And then as I'm finding out about him, it was kind of like while simultaneously you were going through quite a lot, honestly, as you were showing up on my TikTok feed. I mean, I was seeing people posting lives of you guys arguing about what happened and all of this stuff. So my question is like, how did that even really end up on the internet? Because I mean, people can have, tiffs and stuff like that, but just from even the jump, it kind of feels really exploitative on her behalf. But I also don't want to add too much because she's not here to chat. But
Right.
how did that make you feel in that situation? And what am I reading as a viewer? Is that valid? Like that uncomfortability? Did you feel that way, or am I just overreading that?
Oh, you're absolutely not. Like I'm actually kind of getting emotional right now on my end. Our second breakup was horrible, but our first breakup, I honestly, what a lot of people don't understand is I almost didn't make it through the first breakup. Like, I'm not saying I'm the most perfect man, but I am a good man. And I felt as if she knew that and she utilized her platform to destroy me. Like, first it started with the DV allegations.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, it first started that we broke up with cheating allegations, which I wasn't really mad about that. Like, okay, cool, you can take that narrative and run with it. But the reality is, we didn't break up over cheating. I just left her because she was losing herself as a woman, and I wanted her to find herself. Our
Mm,
first breakup, when I broke up with her, my intention was to go back to her,
mm,
but it turned into a lot of disloyalty and a lot of mess. So at one point in time, I didn't think we would ever get back. But anyway, it was humiliating. Like, a lot of people don't understand that when someone assassinates your entire character and on top of that being trans and all of those eyes on you, it's a lot. Like, I was getting hit on every single platform: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Anywhere that I posted, I was getting hit. The one thing that really, well, the two things that really killed me the most were the DV allegations, because me as a trans man, I'm already building myself as a man. So Josiah Peace is a brand new person that I'm trying to build, and I'm doing that publicly also. So I felt like it was a point where I didn't even want to go by Josiah Peace anymore. I'm like, she's ruined my legacy, she's ruined my name, my character, because I've never beat her. I've never hit her, put her in the hospital, hurt her. Now the reality is I sent a receipt of even me with a black eye, and she's gotten online literally bragging how she's busted my nose, giving me a black eye, broke my Ray-Ban. And that was like right before our last breakup, but it was humiliating. And I was getting bullied. She also opened that door for transphobia before our first breakup. I didn't get a lot of transphobic comments. Personally, got one asshole here and there. But once she got online and disrespected my transition to her followers, who were also a majority, also my followers now too, because we shared followers. The ignorant people came to my comments, and not only was it the DV, but then you're not a man, you're a fake man, you don't have this, critiquing every little thing about my transition. And that, even more so, in a way, set me back in my transition and my ego with my transition, my thought process with my transition, my thought process with manhood. Like, I was getting attacked in every way, like even from other trans men. So it was, my mental health declined rapidly, and I was also in the process of working a 9 to 5. And I called out. I almost lost my 9 to 5 that I worked for 4 years. Um, it was really bad for me, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I was seeing. I was like, it was a point where I was laying in the dark, and I was seeing like dark. And I didn't think that I would ever come back from it, because like every time I would, there was reasons why, like people like just I was on live talking about Cece. I was never talking about her. I was defending my name, and anytime that I would have to speak on her, it would be because she's completely assassinated my character and has not said anything true. What the internet doesn't realize is that before Cece is where she's at now, and I don't really know what she got going on now, but before we had broke up, she was getting brand deals and all that stuff. She was making money, yes. but that was not always the case for her. You can look at somebody's analytics and you can pull any TikTok creator's analytics. When she was living with me in Florida, I provided the home, which I would do for any woman, provided her home. I accepted her son. I did so much for this woman just for her to get on the internet and act like I'm not a man, I'm a bum, I never did anything. She took care of me. It was just it destroyed me like on the inside because there's so many people and I care about like I know you shouldn't really care about what other people think of you, but I care about my character. People that are around me, they only think highly of me. So
Mm.
having a whole bunch of strangers say negative stuff at once, and that's all my brain could process. I think I turned my comments off like at least 2 or 3 times because I really couldn't even take it.
So here's the thing, and I think people need to wake up. DV is not just actual physical violence. It could just be having a simple argument with someone.
Mhm,
It does not mean just violence. Okay. So we
mhm,
got to also make sure we wake that up too.
Yeah.
right.
Now, the thing is, and I've been following the story, so I'm the audience. I'm new to all of this, and so I'm trying to follow along. And so people have questions. So with all of this happening, you went back to her. Y'all got back
Yes.
together, right? Were you ever
Yes, we did.
accused of having Stockholm syndrome when y'all got back together?
No, I was not. Mm-mm.
Okay. Because that would be
Um,
some criticism. Don't you think that people would probably say, oh, this person must have Stockholm syndrome because if this person did all of these things to you, this person who loved you and who cared about you, all of a sudden when y'all break up, she trashes you. People want to know, why would you want to go back to that? Is love, do you not see the toxicity in that loving relationship? How do you respond to that when people say that, when they look at your situation?
right, absolutely. That's a very good question. Honestly, when we reconnected and we started speaking again, it was in regards to dating. That is how that door kind of reopened. I don't, one thing really led to another, and all I saw was, okay, I could have my family back. Zayden was
Mm,
happy with the family. He was happy as me being his dad. I was happy being his dad. And then when he was not with me, like I couldn't be his dad. So really, I got back together in hopes of trying to mend everything and forgive her. And that sounds probably really, really bad. But I did it for him,
mm. There's no
really.
judgment
Like
here.
No,
There's
there's no
totally no
judgment
judgment here.
too. I mean,
I
it seemed like genuinely from the content, you were genuinely in love with CC as well.
Yes.
Like, so
absolutely.
there's the nuance of that. Like, nobody makes perfect choices in relationships. And I can see, especially because I think to answer even your question on why he would go back, I think it's the nuance of also being a man
Mm,
in that relationship because people from what I saw that was being thrown at you is like, oh, it's his fault. Like it's his fault the relationship fell apart. It's his fault. And there is a tendency because a lot of cisgender men make a lot of mistakes in
it's true.
relationships for people to kind of jump in and create that narrative, which in a weird way is almost gender affirming. Let's find the silver lining there. They see you as a man, they're treating you as one, but at the
Right.
same time, you don't have
You got to
this
get one sound
you
effect
got to
in
get
there.
it. You don't have the structural system to support you as a cis man when things go awry. So it's like
Mm,
you're held accountable for the same style that cis men, because
that
cis
makes
men have a
sense.
lot of like, if you were to look at just a relate, you're like, oh, what did he do? And people have a tendency to do that, and it's because cis men really they need to work on some stuff.
Mm.
But trans men had this unique kind of position that I felt for you was kind of exploited through her
Mm.
followers. Again, I'm gonna say allegedly, but I'm gonna just because I don't want to get sued. But um, I feel like you were kind of exploited, like because like it felt like her views would go down and then like some drama would happen and then her views would go down and some drama would happen and like I want to talk about kind of the DV situation. I actually have a clip that I found online if we could play that real quick. just of Cece, and I just want to give you a trigger warning. We don't have her in audience or in house, Josiah. I just wanted to let you know she's gonna come on screen.
No,
We don't play that. You know we don't play that.
I just I want
We don't play that game.
No.
We don't play
Actually,
that.
she's right here next. No. Imagine we did that.
Yo.
Oh my God, that'd be messy. But no, I want to give you a trigger warning because you are gonna see her.
I don't think I would have minded it. That would have been clock the tape.
So if we could play this, I think it should give some context to kind of what happened with the DV situation and some of the narratives that she was creating and how she was doing it. If we could play that video and that clip.
Playing my screen recordings of me crying? How is that supposed to make me look bad? There's no way you actually did that, right? Please tell me you didn't. I don't think that was a good look for you.
Like how we were saying earlier, I let people manipulate my mind. Like how I told y'all earlier, I went through domestic violence. I went through real domestic violence with my sperm donor. And when I told somebody that we had a little altercation, they were like, oh, that's still domestic violence. Yeah. Then I let that get in my head. So I was like, okay. So then I started going on the internet and started rambling on fuck shit when really I let somebody when that shit hit my mind and manipulate my abuse that I went through. Had me thinking that that was the same thing. And it was so triggering for you.
I was so good.
Very triggering.
I said, I beat you.
Back to a very dark place. And I think that was another reason why I was acting out the way I was.
Yeah, if you look in her eyes.
Okay, so I got to tell you, Josiah, just from even rewatching that again, just right now, like that looks like someone is manipulating a situation to not only convince you, but to convince themselves that they have no accountability in their actions, and they're shifting it on to, oh, well, it was somebody else that made me go live to talk about DV. It's like you have a platform of almost 2 million people and you created a narrative. Then you went on a podcast and said that it wasn't true. And then you turned around and then went on a live with another trans man that you're now dating. And basically, I mean, let's talk about that live, because I watched that live actually live somehow, some way. It came across my thing.
She looked angry. If I didn't know anything of the situation or whatever, I would say she probably punched him first, because she looks like she's just.
Well, we got to say allegedly because we don't want to sue.
like that's what it would give if I'm looking at that clip or whatever. I think she needs therapy. I think that she has a lot of wounds that she's projecting in that little segment. If you just really pay attention to her body language, the way she's trying to express herself, like there is a lot of anger built up inside of her. Yeah. And I think that it's going unchecked.
Yeah.
So
but she's also been, so like, it's like she's been through DV and a lot of these things. So she has that experience. And I understand that trauma and I want to sympathize with that because it's
absolutely
real. But the dynamic that this is somebody who is dating trans people regularly,
trans men in particular.
Trans men specifically.
She ain't dating the girls.
We find out. Now she might need a view count after this because she lost her page. But anyways, listen, I'm petty. I don't care. You don't come for trans men. I will. If you come for trans men, you're going to see my face. I'm sorry. That's just going to be the new reputation. But what I'm seeing in this situation particularly is like a cisgender woman that kind of used a trans man for content.
Wait, this is a cisgender woman?
Yeah, she's cisgender. Now,
is she white?
Josiah, can you explain that? Because that's a little...
Or is she white adjacent?
She's a white adjacent.
So she's Latina.
But she says the N-word. Let's tell the story. Like, let's talk about the narrative that she dances between.
Is she Latina?
She's Puerto Rican. She's Puerto Rican, Dominican, and white. But she says she's from the island. But
she's also black too. I mean, she's also black.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's entitled to the N-word.
Okay.
She's entitled to it.
Because it felt...
Because Puerto Rican and Dominican...
So I didn't know the full background.
It's still
me,
black.
It felt like, I was like, is this a...
Okay, Miss Thing, you get a pass, because I was sure about to say, hold up, girl.
Because we had to clarify that too. Yeah. We want to get it for the audience.
She's entitled to the N-word.
She can have it.
She can have it.
But looking at like how she kind of, I feel like exploited you for views. And then when things, I mean, her views just felt like it was going down. And the thing that really upset me too was when she used her son. She made like a video, and I saw that video of him saying like, oh yeah, like Josiah, where did he hit me? And he did something like, it was like, oh, like
Oh
right here, something
no.
along those lines. Forgive me if I don't get
No,
it exact.
she manipulated his mind.
Yeah.
That's what she did with her
In the
words.
same way that she said she was manipulated by some. So it's like, again, convenient. Let's be real, convenient.
Mhm.
And it's dangerous, especially, I mean, even before this administration, let's be real, it was dangerous. But now, especially with this administration, it's like, how do you say you love trans people, yet you're putting trans people that you date regularly at harm whenever you are ready to discard them? Because quite frankly, like, I don't really like how the trans man acted in that video alongside her. I can also see maybe he was in an uncomfortable position. He did this. There's a power thing. He's new to meeting her. They're new to dating. There's a lot there. But there was a toxic energy there that it's like he was not standing up brother to brother in that moment to sit on a live while she's misgendering you, saying all of the stuff she said about you. While even previously before this happened, from my understanding, didn't you have your nudes leaked and things like that by her? And she threatened to leak them because you weren't acting the way she, like, explain what happened with the nudes thing too.
Because revenge porn is never okay.
And I think it's illegal in states and stuff, right?
And I sent you, I'm not sure if you saw it, but in one of the live clips that I sent you, like towards the end, she does it in there. But and I was actively working. So she did it actually a total of 3 times.
Wow.
So the first time she did it was on her TikTok live, with almost 2,000 people looking. The second time she did it, she hacked my TikTok, my backup TikTok account. She went in there, she stole money. She stole about $150 from me. And then she distributed the picture to all of our mutuals and then put it on our story in the middle of me literally working my 9 to 5. And then she hacked one of my very old Instagram accounts that I don't even know the password to. And then I sent you that receipt too.
Yeah.
She posted it all on there, and then was in the comments arguing with me back and forth, but broke character, and then pretty much gave herself up. She was trying to act like me.
Yeah.
Wait. Did I hear this correctly? You're 9 to 5. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I was working at my 9 to 5, and she was doing all of this to me. So like, I'm working and I get a text, and I worked from home at the time.
Okay.
Like, Josiah, did you just post that? And I'm like, post what? And I went to my thing, and like literally, my hand was like this. Like I couldn't even like get into the phone. Like my hand was like literally shaking. But I was really humiliated by that. Now the way that she even got that photo is she tries to push online that I was sending it to women and all this. If you listen to her, she goes from saying I send it to women, to men, to the whole world. No, the reality of the situation is I did send that picture to one man. And the reason I needed to send that picture to a man is because we had an eviction letter on our door. She was getting payments that were invisible. I didn't get paid for another 2 weeks. He was in my, you know, that people be in our DMs just offering strange things for a little bit of change, right? Usually, typically, I ignore it, but I needed the money. Like I couldn't wait 2 more weeks for all those fees to go on. It's like paying damn near half another month's of rent and then having to turn around and pay rent again. So I bait and I got paid. I got paid $500. I paid the rent that I needed. But where I messed up is I did not tell her, and I will take accountability for that.
Okay.
I did not loop her into it only because I was human. As a man, I was embarrassed. One, I'm a trans man. I'm showing another man that I'm not even sexually attracted to men. So for me to have to like open that door, I was just humiliated. And then to bring it to her, I didn't want her to feel like down about herself because she was the one that lacked the payments that I was relying on. And then I didn't also want her to feel like she needed to go show hers. So I was just trying to take really one for the team. And also I was embarrassed. So because I didn't tell her, she concocted after going through my phone a story in her brain. And then once we separated, I didn't even know she had the picture. That's when she started going crazy with it. But she also utilized it then to have people questioning my sexuality. Like it was just
A lot.
it was a lot. It was a lot. And
Did she
even in
have
the
a
moment,
job ever or at the time at all?
no, she worked at Universal for like 1 second.
Okay.
But she wasn't she was not working at all. Like she lived with me and lived in the home. And it's funny that how you touched on it just from being like a spectator on the outside, how you felt like maybe she could have been like exploiting me, allegedly, for her platform. one of our major arguments would be that she wasn't doing anything while living in my house. I was showing up for her 110%, taking care of her child, you know, providing a roof, working outrageous numbers, trying to pay for my top surgery on top of that. And then her son, like that's a lot of finances to take care of. So one of our biggest arguments were I didn't feel like she wasn't doing anything like in return. And I'm not talking about financially. There was nothing really there mentally, emotionally. She wasn't really cleaning the house, things like that, where that was a red flag, but I ignored it because I felt as though like maybe like I'm being dramatic. Maybe I'm the one doing too much. But she was not, I was a lot of the time I felt like I was getting more and she was just taking. And when we broke up, I told her, I said, my cup, even in one of the emails I had told her, my cup is literally empty. I have nothing else to give to you from my cup. I started to lose everything around me. My car had gotten repoed. I was getting eviction letters on my door. I wasn't even getting that when I was single paying for my top surgery by myself. Before I got with her, I had already started paying for my top surgery. And I wasn't late on my rent. I wasn't late on my car. I didn't have any issues. So when the narrative that gets pushed, like Josiah doesn't have anything, Josiah doesn't, no, I don't have anything because one, I almost lost it all for her. Then I turned around and gave it all up for her to try to make things in hopes to make everything work. And then when I realized and got the balls to leave, of course I didn't have anything because she took it all. Like, and I almost feel as though she moved me over to Texas, like as like some type of like evil, weird plot. Like it was just weird because she even came out later on and said that she's been talking to the dude. So it's just like, I don't get it. Like I don't, you know.
So do we have video of this new man or that she got? I want to see this. I want to see this.
No, and this video is interesting because he's
see him.
even calling her out about like how she kind of misled him. If we could play that clip.
What?
Yeah.
She, well, that's the last time. She came out here to visit her family. Her child came because her child came to visit his grandmother and whatever other family she has out this way. That's why her child is with her. I hit her up, said, "What you doing? I see you in my city." She said, "Well, while I'm out here, I do want to have fun. I'm meeting up with other people, of course, you know, other content creators and shit like that." But she like, "But meanwhile, I do want to go to the beach in Hollywood and shit like that." All right, come on. Let's go. I go. Of course, her son wants to do this stuff too. Her son wants to get on the Ferris wheel. Her son wants to get on the roller coaster. That's why her son was with me. We were literally going to go, what is that? Santa Monica. Literally going to Santa Monica to get on the beach and all the rides and shit. That's literally why she wanted to go to Santa Monica. They both wanted to go there to get on the roller coaster. I don't know why. Shit is bullshit if we know. And the Ferris wheel, bullshit.
Santa
Roller
Monica
coaster
Pier.
don't even go upside down, but it's something they were starstruck about doing. That's why the child was around me. Other than, you know, eating and all of that stuff, and me playing with them with the wrestlers and stuff. Only reason.
So it's so funny that he says that. They're both such horrible liars because it's social media.
I love that you just call it straight out.
No, like
because
no,
I saw the live. I watched him sit there and giggle, and to me, it was that whole thing of like, I've got bottom surgery, so I'm more of a man than you are. So
Also, he's a post-op.
He's a post-op trans man.
So he's a trans man and likes to look down on other trans men
because they
who are
don't
pre-op.
have
pathetic,
like a trans medicalist situation, and like the stuff that came out of her mouth. And kind of the way that even they navigated with their content. I mean, I saw him actively posting her, and it was just really toxic. And I had one more question before we wrap up.
It's not gonna last.
On the finance. So in terms of like finances and stuff, like were you guys like equally sharing the bills, or was she covering your bills? Because like I know she has her TikTok following. You said she doesn't have a job. So how is she able to cover the costs for like her kid and stuff like that? Because the narrative that like was put on the internet is like, oh, you're living off of her, and from what it kind of sounds like is that sounds kind of the opposite in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you had the 9 to 5 and you were providing
Yeah.
a space for her.
Yes.
Let me know if I've
Um,
missed anything or something's off.
No, yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. What a lot of the internet doesn't even understand is the way that she ended up living with me is because her mother kicked her and her son out. Also, people have this, like, perception when they see people with a large following that automatically means money.
Yeah.
No, she wasn't even making more money than my 9 to 5 at that point in time on
Oh.
TikTok. When she started blowing up again on TikTok is when she accused me of false allegations of deed. And
So
always
it
in a
created
way,
her following to go up, which I think is what really
yes.
created her addiction in TikTok. Because I've seen so many TikTok creators do that and kind of
Mhm.
exploit themselves. Like not to say that we don't, do things that are messy for attention to get views. Let's be real, we do
Yeah.
that too. But the way that she's doing it in the direct harm, and then sitting there and saying like, "I love this individual," and regularly dating trans men, like I have a problem with that narrative because it's extremely dangerous to have 2 million followers and in this climate that we're looking at, and just really disregard and spin the narrative in a way that, again, you are a trans man, you're not a cis man, so you don't have that
Cis women are a problem
protection
sometimes.
in the way that
Yeah.
a
No
cis
shade.
man would be protected when
Yes.
these accusations are being thrown at you. And then, Josiah, I also want to give you an opportunity. Is there anything that you saw for other trans men and mistakes that you may have made that you can really, because I think, how I see my masculinity and manhood is really like owning and taking accountability. I think it's really powerful for men for us
Yes.
to really own our mistakes. So, is there advice or maybe something you might have done wrong that you might have wished you could take back? Or where do you want, what's the message you want to give to the internet? Because I know that that message has been skewed for you in so many ways. And I want to give you an opportunity to really educate people that trans people exist. We experience harm in very nuanced ways, and even within our own LGBT community. I mean, the T is now gone from LGB, and most of the community is silent about it. What lesson would you want to give, especially trans men?
Absolutely. So the lesson that I really learned here is we do need to be careful of one who we are choosing as our partners, and even just surrounding ourselves with in general. Because this woman, I was completely vulnerable with. She was with me before I had gotten top surgery. Also, I've let her know the insecurities of my transition. She's really in and out to my transition, and then later, because I was so vulnerable and thought I was able to trust her, and that was my, I guess, more like my judgment on my end, and that's where I will take accountability. Is I was so vulnerable with somebody that I knew, in a sense, didn't really love me, but hoped for it more so, and then in the end, found out the hard way. So we just really need to be careful on who we're surrounding ourselves and which women or men that we are dating, because some people do look at us as a fetish. Some people do not actually, have good intentions with us, and when dating public figures, we need to be extremely careful on their intentions because some public figures will prey on you and act as if they like you and they want to be with you, but trans is different. It automatically does bring numbers. And I had said that the other day and I got crucified. And I'm like, we are different. That's true. People are curious of us. So when a cisgender person dates a trans person and they do have a public platform, a lot of the times the people are very much interested in the trans person and in the relationship and things like that. So when dating public figures and things like that, you just be careful. It's okay to be vulnerable. Just make sure you're being vulnerable with yourself. Also, with experiencing that, I started to think very toxic, and I had to lean on older trans men or even other trans men checking me. I had started to get like kind of like a toxic masculinity like thought process with little things like, oh, we can't be so feminine. Yes, we
Yeah.
can. That's not a problem. And I had to learn like a trans man, a few trans men had checked me like, what do you mean? Like there's cis men that are feminine and masculine. Like that doesn't even make sense. And I'm like, you know what? Wait, hold on. You are actually absolutely right. But because I was being so crucified, I
Yes.
allowed the toxic thoughts and then I started criticizing myself. And I'm like, no, we can't be like that. We need to be like this, 100% manly. And we can't even represent a little bit girly. That is not true. And I had fell victim to that toxic thought process for a second. And I had to rewire and be more open and understand that there is no rule book to being a trans man. You don't need to act like all the other cisgendered men. You could be 100% feminine and still be a trans man. There's
Yes.
no rules
Yes.
to it. And I think I also learned that also throughout this whole situation with so many, like my thought process kind of altering, and then other trans men kind of like giving me advice and letting me know, because I was like, I want to change my feminine traits. I don't want to have no feminine traits because I was constantly being critiqued. And now I'm like, I don't give a damn. That's who I am. If you think I'm sassy, then shit, I'll be sassy. I
That's
don't care.
right.
Yes.
I'm still a fine ass man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes, you
so,
are.
Josiah,
you feel me?
I gotta tell you,
I had a final question too. So I wanted to know something.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Just how is Josiah Peace healing? How are you doing now? Like,
I
let's
am
talk a little
doing-
bit about that, because this was
Absolutely.
a lot, and we need to know how you're healing. What's going on? Do you got a new boo? What's tea? Like, we want to know what's going on.
Also, he's got a new apartment, actually.
Ooh,
Yes,
congratulations.
yes.
We do that
Thank you.
again.
See, I told you, I followed you, Josiah. I know all your stuff.
did,
You know, I'm a fan too.
You are a real one, bro. You are a real one. I honestly, I feel great. With the healing process, there are some days that are harder than others. And this week was a little rougher. I try to be transparent with also my community, because I want it to be a safe place. I want people to see we are influencers, but we are people. We feel emotions. So this week was very rough on my healing journey. But something I'm trying to focus on that I didn't used to do is I used to suppress my emotions and gaslight myself out of feeling how I felt. And when I would feel myself about to cry, like, you can't cry, like, don't cry, like you're being a little bitch. And it's like, now I'm like, no, cry. Allow yourself to feel that. Grieve it, let it go, and move on. So day by day, it's definitely getting better. In the beginning, I was like, this is never gonna get I'm gonna feel like this forever. But as time goes on, I'm healing. When it comes to love, I'm open to love, but I want to make sure that I'm presenting myself to my future woman 100% healed and 100% a man that I know that she's going to be able to love, and a man that's going to be able to provide. My transition is something that has really saved my life, and I take very, very serious. It's like a completely reborn. Even with my dating, before my transition, I was not the best person to deal with then cheating, and just because I didn't love myself and who I was. So there was a lot of messiness and things like that. But I want to just make sure that I'm 100% healed and someone is receiving all of my love and all of me, because I know I have a lot to bring to the table. So I am definitely happy and healing, if that makes sense.
I love
happy
it.
and healing.
Love
as
That's
well.
beautiful. And Josiah, I just want to thank you again. First of all, for taking this horrific situation that happened to you. And it sounds like the message that you've learned is that toxic masculinity, especially through all the nuances of what you experienced, even from another fellow trans man, what happened to you, that you're not becoming bitter, you're becoming better as a man.
Right.
And I think it's important for us as trans men to stand up for the feminine man and stand in that gap for them as well, and not create this toxic masculinity, because we can all coexist. And just thank you so much for taking time today to have this conversation. And I hope this is part of your healing journey too. And I just want to say, going out there and doing the stuff that you do and going on live, as messy as it may seem, you're getting attention on trans masculine stories. Even if it's not perfect, it's not landing. We're barely getting our stories out there, and everybody's expecting us to land it perfectly when we're barely getting the mic. So just thank you for the work you do. And I look forward to continuing to watch you grow as a man. And I hope that you continue to find more support and more of your tribe. And Blossom, do you want to close this up?
Sure. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below so that way you'll know when we post new videos like so. Take a little time to enjoy the Transparency Podcast Show. We'll see you next time.